A closer look at the legacy of World War II and how events 70 years ago helped shape the political landscapes of countries like Japan, China, and Germany. Douglas Spelman joined me earlier on Skype. He's an expert on East Asian history and language. He explained the difference between how Germany and Japan handled the legacy of the war.
Well, I'd say first that all countries have things in their history which sometimes are difficult to deal with. Concerning these two and their views of World War II, I think there's a continuing sentiment in Japan, and it differed in Germany. There were several differences. Many of the officials were changed that were not in the Nazi regime. Some in Japan had been in the previous regime. Education in Germany stressed liberalism more than it did in Japan. And finally, the geographical situation was quite different. In Europe, Germany wanted to unify all of Germany and then moves toward the European Economic Commission and the EU, put special stress on good relations with neighbors. So they paid attention to reconciling with those neighbors that they had gone to war with in World War II.
In Japan itself, tell me, what kind of impact do the right-wing political forces have there?
Well, these factors that I just mentioned have added to the right wing. There is a strong right wing. I think recently there are a couple of other factors. One is Japan has been in a sort of economic slump for 15 to 20 years, and they've been concerned about this, so a strong leader is very attractive. A strong leader who wants to say a strong Japan. And then there are security concerns. North Korea has been a more potent security concern, and the rise of China. China's economy has surpassed Japan's, and I think there's a feeling we need a strong leader, a nationalistic leader, to strengthen Japan again.
As you know, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe just spoke before the U.S. Congress here, and his wording that he chose was very careful regarding World War II. He has not come right out and apologized for anything, but he is expressing remorse. Is he careful in choosing his words?
I think he is. These words are very sensitive. What people, particularly perhaps in Korea and Japan, were hoping was that he would repeat the words that were used in earlier statements in the 90s in Japan by high-level officials. In particular, they offered then a heartfelt apology. So I think people are looking for him to repeat exactly those words to assure them that he really does accept them.
So do you think he will ever follow in Angela Merkel's footsteps and give us an unprecedented apology?
Well, that's difficult to predict, but I think there are factors driving in that direction. Particularly with China, recently we've seen two meetings between President Xi Jinping of China and Prime Minister Abe in Beijing, and then most recently in Indonesia. And they seem to want to start a dialogue. I think that way of reducing tensions might well lead to an amelioration of these strong feelings, if not an elimination.